pine trees. They provide resin, their needles, their bark, and their pine cones. This one took some damage this year with the hard freeze that we got. But it's gonna make it. It's hanging in there. Matter of fact, it's kind of young to be making cones, this tree is, but it's made something, and sometimes when they're stressed, they will make a pine cone. So, as if to say, hey, I may not make it, but my kids will. And that's not a joke. They really do that. Maybe not in a thoughtful way such as that, but basically that's the idea. So, in the soap I'm about to make, of course, it's going to have pine resin in it. Let me see, I picked most of this off of this tree, but right over here is some lovely resin that's forming. Just need to take it in, melt it, filter it, and then powder it, and we have our pine resin. But yeah, they did take quite a bit of damage. But anyway, the point I was going to make, I'm going to be using the pine cones to color it. I'm going to grind this up and use this as the colorant in it. It's not going to make it dark like down in there, because I'm not going to use it very much anyway, but it will just add a tint to it so it's not just pure white. In the past, I just let it go the natural color of the resin. After all, it is a resin bar, but I just thought I'm going to add a little bit of color to it, just see how it turns out. So come along with me as we go in, we get some resin processed and build some soap. Hi everyone. It's really great having you here with me. So yeah, again, it's time to put together my resin soap. This has been one of my most popular soaps in the state of Texas. What I mean by that is, here in Texas, it's a very popular soap. I have made this, I don't know, dozens of times. I can't even begin to guess just how long it's been. But I've been making resin soaps for at least 20 years, and it's such a simple thing. Oh, by the way, okay, so I've got my double boiler here. The water is underneath this, and then I just have my container of oil just sitting in it to get it to heat. Let's see what temperature we're at right now. So our oil's at about 120 degrees, and I'm just dropping my resin into this. Always use a jar that you don't mind being mucked up for a long time. They can be cleaned, but it is a job because the resin is very sticky and gummy, as resins are. So you want to, if it's something that you want to use and stay looking really nice, such as maybe some of your anchor hawking or other measuring tools, perhaps you don't want to use those because they can be kind of a job to clean. All right. Okay, so most of this is pretty much dissolved now. As much as it will, there is a saturation point. Sort of like salt, you can only get so much salt in water before the salt will no longer dissolve. And resin is kind of like that too. Once it gets, so much of the resin is infused into the oil, you're left with, I don't know why I grabbed that. It's not too bad. What is the temperature of this right now? 130, okay, that's liftable. but most of it, there's nothing settled on the bottom, so it is mostly dissolved. There are just some granules within it. And I'm now going to set this aside, and we'll start putting the soap together, and I'll explain a little more about using something like pine resin, which is true of most resin. So I'll try to cover some of the basics as I know them and as I have experienced them. I'm happy to share what I know with you all. So one moment while I move this stuff aside. Now, due to the fact that pine resin oil is very astringent and is such a great antibacterial. I mean, it is the most medicinal of resins. It is also one of the most commonly used in native cultures and one of the easiest to come by. If you have pine trees, you generally will have pine resin available to you. Very easy to gather, very easy to process, a little messy, but some people just use soup cans to do that. But many people that have different types of skin conditions, as I've talked about in the past with this very soap, they find this to be very helpful. They wash with it, they leave it on the skin for an extended period of time and claim that they get some relief from it, from itching and from worsening infection. I can't attest to that myself because I don't have those exact conditions. However, what I can say is when I do have something like a breakout, which happens to me sometimes from just splashing something on my skin, I do find, well, let me give you an example. I was outside pulling weeds in my backyard, and some of those weeds are pokeberry, and I am, although it is poisonous to eat parts of the plant, many people do eat the leaves of the poke plant. I, however, am allergic to it on my skin, and if I'm not careful when I'm pulling it and the juice gets on my skin, I get a big blotchy red breakout. Pine resin soap is one of the best things to remove that. That, along with a washcloth, of course, for that agitation to help remove the oils from the skin. Very much the same is true of poison ivy, poison oak. It's more about the agitation to get it off your skin. You don't need a special soap. You don't need anything. Good old, just any old bar of soap you may have around the house works against poison ivy and oak, as long as you use a washcloth and you use it within a timely manner after getting the oil from the poison ivy on your skin. But I'm going off into another area. Anyway, my point of this was to say that due to the astringent quality of resin, I like to add a lot of super fat, and I use a lot of different fats for that purpose. I mean, just right here there's beef tallow, it's actually bison tallow, which is beef tallow, shea butter, kokum butter, no, that's not right. Let me start again. Tallow, shea butter, cocoa butter, and mango butter. Because I really want to make sure that this has all those wonderful qualities from each of these butters that if you're going to leave it on the skin for an extended period of time after washing with it, that it really does as good a job as it can do. And I don't want anything that's stripping to the skin. This is going to be made with just distilled water as far as the liquid. I'm not using goat milk in these because 3 of the people that have requested this recently that I'm refilling, that's why I'm making it, did not want goat milk for various reasons due to whatever reasons. Okay, it's personal. I don't ask people any questions. If they want something and I can make it, I'll make it. I don't care why. And that's why if it had goat milk in it, I probably wouldn't feel I needed to add as many butters to it because I know all the wonderful qualities of the goat milk. But instead, I've added it using as much as I could via these butters. So I just wanted to explain the reasoning why I'm putting these in there. Let's move forward. Alright, so I'm now going to, I've got my butters here melted. I'm going to go ahead and add in my resin oil. So you can see some of the undissolved on the bottom. Out of all of that, that's what was left after filtering it. So it really did dissolve nicely. So I'm just combining that. Here I have some pine cone that has been ground into a very, very fine powder. I'm going to use this as the colorant so that it fits the theme while not adding, anything artificial. Just adding a little less than a teaspoon. I just want to slightly tint it. It doesn't necessarily have to be really, really dark. Usually my resin cones are generally very, very light. And I thought this one, I would try to introduce a little bit of color into it. So here I have my lye water, and I'm just going to try to combine this ground pine cone into it. And that looks like that did darken that nicely. Of course, in the soap, once this is mixed with the oils, that color could change substantially. I love the smell of this pine resin. I just do. It's delicious. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm adding in my lye water. So I think that pine cone is going to add a nice tint to this. So it won't be too dark because this will lighten, it always does. It just won't be that pure white resin color. It'll have a little more dimension to it, I hope. I've not done this way before with the pine cone. But the way I see it, if you're going to be allergic to pine cone, you're allergic to the resin as well. So right. So I'm going to keep on filling. I've got some more of these to fill here. Then we'll come back and we're going to take them out. Aren't they fun? I just love the speckling in them from the resin and the ground pine cone. It gives them just a very natural appearance. Not necessarily like a natural pine cone. Of course, they're not this color, but they're just right. I think that these are quite cute. And while they are more on the medicinal side, they are just a bar of soap. You can use it the same way you use any bar of soap, assuming you're not allergic to, any of the ingredients, as with any soap. And, however, if you're someone looking for something a little bit special, or know someone who is that needs something
that is both antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, when left on the skin for a period of time. So let me be very clear about that. I wasn't before. Pine resin is somewhat magical, but scientifically proven to be an antibacterial, used on wounds throughout history and even today to slow or actually deter infection, bacteria, viruses, all sorts of wonderful things. Now, of course, that's resin placed on the skin, such as in my resin salve that I sell. That's directly on the skin, stays on the skin, it absorbs and does all its magic. This is soap. So how can soap be beneficial since it's a rinse-off product? Well, you leave it on the skin a little longer. So if you were bathing with this, or bathing a part of the body that had, for instance, eczema or something like that, you would simply leave this on the skin for a period of time, allowing the antibacterial qualities of the resin to do their work. I don't know just how long that might be. From what I've read, and because of the percentage of resin that I have in this, it would probably take 15 minutes on the skin for it to actually have any full benefit that I know of. And I'm basing this just on things that I've read in in 3 different books that I have. There's not much on the internet, because as with a lot of things that are, whether of tribal basis or natural, there's a lot of folks just guessing. And to be honest, and to be absolutely honest, sure, some of what I am telling you is based on stories that I've heard. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do everything that I would hope that they would do. That's why I say they're just a bar of soap. But these bars of soap will be available in the shop in probably late August. Let's see, this is maybe early September. Okay? All right, fantastic. I hope you enjoyed these, folks. They're a joy to make, and they smell wonderful. They have a very Christmassy smell. It's not like cedar wood or pine needle essential oil or anything like that. Pine resin is just very, very earthy and green and lovely. I just think it's terrific. All right, everyone, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you back soon. Goodbye.